Hello everyone, this is MaffumanCasting, the StarCraft Star Battle. This is a 6-on-6 ship buddy action game starring Avaris. Avaris going to jump on in there, has the 5 interceptors to farm better, do damage, all that stuff. Apnea going to come on in there. Dark Swarm, fantastic ability, 1.61 speed, and a little bit of cloud cover. Looks like Poor Nexus is going to come on in there as an Arbiter with Electromagnetic Storm. Area of effect damage. Looks like the rest of the blue side is coming in now. We got Ariesto, 1.86 speed. There should be somebody else. But it looks like against them, they're going to have Warlord, Frigate, a little bit of speed, 1.71 speed from Shagori and Warlord right there. Alpha GC going to push on in there against Apnea. Went for 1.61 speed, also has Gatling cannons and Terran ship plating. Poor Nexus is going to use that attack to do some damage against the tank right there. Angelo pushing in. Apnea using the natural, gas cover that the map provides. He also has his own Dark Swarm. Max Power and Michael going to come on in there, both as Colossus is, and they're going to have 2 shield right there. Warp. Max Power has 5 shields. Colossus are, of course, more of the shield tanks, while Alpha GC is more of a whole armor tank. Angelo going to push it in there. Has longboat missiles, gonna do that. IDC over here with 5 interceptors as well, trying to farm, but Max Power staying on the side. And even though he doesn't have any particle disruptors, he's going to just be able to chase away some of these interceptors. And they will die eventually. 2.5 armor and 8. So it just will take a little bit of time. And with that, the Maxper doesn't want to stay there too long. Gonna warp on back. He's got that 500 right now. Ariesto is happily farming in the back. Happily back farming. He's got that blink. He can escape relatively easily. He's also watching his mini-map, so he doesn't get taken out by anybody sneaky. He's just going to move around. He doesn't have warp, but he can kind of slowly work on his way on back to base. While that's happening, of course, the blue side is effectively in a 5 versus 6 scenario, and Michael is quite hurt. Although Ariesto has a whole bunch of money, the overall farming of the blue side is much lower because they had to give up the numerical advantage in de facto numerical advantage to the red side. Red side does have frigates, can provide some fire support, but they were able to push up into the Goldilocks zone for a little bit. IDC launching out his interceptors. He does have warp, of course. He also has 1.51 speed, though. Poor Nexus gonna kind of fly back a little bit as well. We got Max Power using his Thermal Lens. Thermal Lens is a fantastic Colossus ability, and there's nobody to drain him right now. Random does have EMP, does drain him right now, but it was a little bit after the fact of being burned. This Thermal Lance will basically counteract some interceptors for theoretically the whole game up to the 11th upgrade on your interceptors. The Thermal Lance will one-shot it. After that, the interceptors have enough health to survive 125 damage. It still will be the best way of defending against interceptors, however it won't just outright kill them for a little while. 251, he barely couldn't make that up just right now. He might try though. Looks like he's going to warp on up there. The only person to warp on up there too is, there's Warlord right there. Warlord moved back a little bit. He wants to just stop Avaris from similarly farming. He has warp in as well as warp himself. He can warp away from base or into the combat. He can also warp in extra interceptors once his interceptors are dead. Looks like a similar strategy. IDC as well also has interceptors, he's a carrier, also has warp in because it's just a fantastic ability to have. Apnea using that gas to his advantage, creating the little area of effect where he couldn't quite be attacked. Now they can, but he's going to go into the second layer of protection. He's also healing up slightly. He also has his friends, but he did pull back just in time because these 2 frigates do want to do long distance damage dealing with their missiles. Looks like a fusion torpedo to do that. Warlord gonna move in there. We have a random swing and missing with the EMP because Ariesto moved on back. Red side basically even, but they are on the attack. Let's see how far ahead they can get during this little Goldilocks period. All players are on the blue side right up there. Nobody back farming, meaning that they are at full strength once they decide to pull out into combat. Michael and Max Power, both Colossuses. Max Power does have Thermal Lance, Recharge Shield, 2 fantastic abilities, both costing energy. EMP still effective to help them out. It drains about 2,000, and it will do that. But it looks like Ariesto snuck around the side while Void Ray Chase right now is happening. That does break up the line. Does mean that the blue side can advance because the red side's fractured in 2 right now. Ariesto moving around. He's gonna blink into combat. Alpha GC is trying to turn and get there. He does have his Gatling cannons. EMP being used random on Ariesto. We got a Warlord pushing up there. Doesn't want to commit because there is a Poor Nexus using Electromagnetic Storm. Chrono Boost as well available. Feedback also available. 500 energy in total as a reserve. Looks like Michael is going to move around the side. He's going to try. He knows he has to get close with his antimatter missiles and as well with his thermal lance. He sees a nice juicy target in Alpha GC. Will he go around and get him? Also, the Warlord is quite hit. Looks like Random is trying to provide some fire support. Does have shield. Is using it now against on his allies to help Alpha GC get back. Alpha GC's protective field is out of energy. He's almost at the point where he can use it again. He's got about 30. He still needs some energy. Torpedo being launched there does hit Apnea. Apnea had to turn right and was not able to pull out just in time. Looks like with that, Interceptors being launched, Michael using his Thermal Lance. It looks like Michael and Max Power, yep, they both have the 2 favorite Colossus abilities. Thermal Lance doing some damage. We got a Recharge Shield, also recharging shield. I mean, pretty straightforward, but providing that little bit extra health. With that, that means that EMP is just like essential to be used. However, it's also essential to be used against everybody. Against Ariesto, against Poor Nexus, against Varus. Colossuses are fantastic EMP targets. So are our Guardians. Everything needs to be EMP'd. So he just needs to have more energy to support it. Use it against everybody. Energy War is actually relatively similar. One major, EMP-er, energy drainer in Poor Nexus has his feedback. Random has EMP. Angelo could be the deciding factor of getting that little extra lockdown. That could actually be extremely helpful. Max Power trying to fly away. He does have his Recharge Shield about to be off cooldown. He does want to use it again whenever possible. He does use it right there. Poor Nexus now flying away. He is a little bit of gas to protect him right there. Apnea has Scourge. He's going to launch them again. Will Poor Nexus be taken out in the very beginning? He has about 1,200 life. 600 life. Shayorian not quite enough. Now he's definitely in the position where he's going to be hurt as well. We got Shayorian running. He's got the entire blue side trying to get some revenge, and they do get their revenge. Arbiter survived. The frigate did not. Alpha GC trying to push up some damage. He's got the Gatling cannons at 52, doing a whole bunch of damage. He just passed the 10-minute mark though, so now he has to start getting some particle disruptors. Particle disruptors were helping him farm, but they were doing 2-shot in the very beginning. Now they're doing 3-shot. Yes, that little damage difference does make it a little bit slower to get that money. And it's very hard to kill people in this game when you are struggling for money yourself. Looks like Random, he would have wanted to use his EMP. It could have done a little bit more, but he didn't have the energy reserves for it. Only has 400, and as we said, everybody wants to be EMP'd, so his 125 just has to keep on being available. It looks like Apnea is going to try to launch some damage against Random. Random is going to try to run away. 1.91 speed is good, range is decent, but these Scourge are pretty monstrous as well. Swarm of 14 Scourges, each having 120 life, doing 250 damage. Random can't really do an EMP against them. Can just barely rely on burst lasers, and that's not even the best right there. Somebody like Alpha GC has at least the benefit of protective field, 50 armor, 24 base. Not going to quite go over the 120 to 250 area damage. However, it's going to at least help to some degree. And it looks like IDC going to fly around. He's got 20 upgrades on his interceptors. He also has Plasma Surge and Warp In, 425 energy potential. He spent all of his money on interceptors and making them good. Effectively as a carrier, you can either fully commit to all interceptors all the time or get anything else, or both. It just depends on how much money you have. However, in the very beginning, he wants to go for interceptors. Even if he goes for something crazy like, Tempest might not be the best idea. Vortex could be a good idea. Plasma Barrage exists. Right now, he wants to go for the interceptors. Interceptor War is actually relatively even as well, especially with Averis not being able to get his final upgrades. He's about 4 interceptors behind with similar, supportive abilities. Michael moving in. We got Angelo moving there. Now max power did use a thermal lance, but it also does affect him, and it does. Michael is taken out by IDC. Interceptors giving the final little blow right there. Not able to do the same thing with Ariesto though. It looks like Warlord gonna push on up there. It looks like Apnea is gonna try to give that gas protection, but Max Power is gonna have to move away. He's got Hardened Shield. Does stop the next 55 incoming attacks to a maximum of 50. So Alpha GC 52 Gatling cannon only doing 50. More importantly, missiles, backlash rockets 137 down to 50. Angelo 123 missiles down to 50 as well. Interceptors actually 52 down to 50. Very helpful. I honestly wish that there should be like some type of like auto refresh or like indication that it's being used. You effectively just have to kind of expand the D key, tape it down or something like that, just so you always have it. Ariesto flying around, gonna be shot by Warlord right there. He does have Blink. He doesn't want to stay in combat too long. He does have Charge. Doesn't want to dive in without knowing he can pick up a kill. A injured person can do as much damage as a non-injured person, so he doesn't want to just commit to that. Averis, Interceptor War 21, 23 on IDC. Only 77 money though. He's basically poor. He's basically out of money, especially for carriers. Interceptors are the thing that's upgraded, and like everything else that's upgraded, it starts off at 25, 30, 35, 40, getting a little bit more expensive each time that you upgrade it, meaning that these 23 interceptors are going to cost in the hundreds of dollars range, meaning that is 85, is a lot less important, impactful than something like Burst Laser, another upgrade of that could only be like, $40. These interceptors could be like $120, something like that. Max power, again, he's using that thermal lance. The interceptors do take a whole bunch of damage. They do have 82 plus 82, that's more than 125. However, in the area, it will help them as well. Ariesto, beautiful blinking away. Apnea, moving away. He's got the 1, 2, 3 abilities. He's got Dark Swarm to protect himself, Adrenal Overload to recharge his own energy, and then Scourge to do some damage. Because he has 3 cool abilities, that means he has less money for everything else. 1.61 speed, kind of pretty slow. Needle Spine's only at 6. Doing some helpful stuff against interceptors, but not like, 16, something like that. Acid Spores, Bristling Strikes effectively ignored right now. Very helpful, but he wants to focus on the Scourge damage. Scourge damage, of course, is great, can hurt things like Random. Random can use EMP though to stop the Scourge, really slow them down. Force him to use Adrenal Overload. Warlord, gonna try to provide some fire support. These Sky Furies just came in from hot off the presses at the mothership. Max Power gonna fly in there. Knows he can use his Hardened Shield to survive a little bit easier. And with that, all the everybody comes in there. Can't stay there for too long. A couple of extra seconds though in that Goldilocks zone is super important. Looks like the money situation. We're gonna see Random 630, Warlord 240, Alpha GC 250, Angelo 184. He's got Lockdown, fantastic ability to use against anybody with energy who happens to not be Zerg. So Apnea is safe. Everybody else is not safe. It also stops them from using abilities, so you can't use something like a Recharge Shield, Hardened Shield, Thermal Lance. Vortex being used on the carrier. Now this cute little observer buddy is going to watch the situation. He can actually help out right there. It looks like everybody on the red side is trying to go around trying to stay in the gas, trying to provide that fire support. Chrono Boost being used on there, and Vortex being used by IDC to protect himself from the Guardian. And it looks like a little reverse vortexing right now. Now the tables have turned. Oh, the turntables again. And we got a protective field trying to be there. He's out of energy right now. Will this be enough, though? Will they commit to attacking Apnea? Interceptors are definitely on him. And the Chrono Boost is doing as much as he possibly can. Apnea, out of energy, may even have to sacrifice a little bit of health. But it looks like Max Power is a shield tank with very little shields. Hardened shield being used, dropping as much as possible. It only works when you have shield. He just barely has shields right now. Will he use it? He does use it again. We gotta everybody moving in. The gas being used to protect him. And will this be enough? He's just barely surviving there. We got Ariesto trying to do some damage against Warlord. Warlord is a frigate, and Ariesto moving on back, and he's out. Ariesto, trying to help his friends, is taken out by interceptors from IDC. 24 upgrades, 60 damage, and they have enough health to survive a whole bunch of damage as well. 12 armor, 12 shields. Averis moving in. Now the vortexes were both used in conjunction with each other. We got this Angelo battlecruiser. He's got the lockdown. He's got defensive shield. Defensive shield kind of helping him survive, be a little bit more tanky as well. With that, IDC moving back. We got 405. We got a Warlord, about 500. 906 from Random. Alpha GC, 380. Does upgrade his laser batteries, are at 4. Not doing the most against, Scourge, not doing the most against, interceptors, but at least 2-shot farming. And you always want to try to keep it at least at 2-shot farming. If you can do one, do one. But any more shots to take out these little ships right there, and you're really slowing down how much money you can possibly get. It is a hard balance, just to remember. Warlord pushing up. We got IDC, already knows what he wants to do, already knows he wants to spend his money, and is going to already be warping all the way to here. A little bit of extra, a couple seconds away. And that just means that the blue side can't stay there as long as they'd like. Poor Nexus up there, trying to use that feedback on everybody he can, storming on the interceptors, chrono boosting away, trying to protect Max Power, who is the tank, does have 15 shield armor count because of his 8 upgrades. Also trying to slam down Warlord. We got these Scourge moving in there, and they will hit him. The interceptors flying in on the side from Averis, doing a whole bunch of damage, and the Warlord is quite hurt. He's taken out by Averis. Random, even if he was in a position, he might not be able to do it just because of all the everything there. Will he use the green gag? Oh no, Alpha GC uses his own protective field. He does have defensive matrix though. Defensive matrix is a fantastic way of helping out against things like Scourge, against everything. Max Power trying to move on in there. He's so scary when he's full of energy, and that's exactly what he has right now. Because when he has energy, he can use Hardened Shield to slow down how much damage he's taking. Recharge Shield. Recharge the shield that he has whenever he takes damage. Thermal Lance. Kill things in the area. Guardian Shield. Protect his buddies. It doesn't actually affect him, it affects his buddies, which is super helpful. Makes somebody like Guardian survive a little bit longer. It looks like IDC moving in there. He's got enough for Vortex now. Will this be enough? He has 1.82 speed, max power, 1.71 speed. IDC can catch up with him. However, it's always a danger whenever you have to get within the 10 range that you need. For Nexus using that magnetic explosion. Oh, Averis catching the tip of the battlecruiser right there. The battlecruiser defensive shield will last for a little while, but blue side doesn't want to keep on attacking. He wants to retreat using that vortex. Now it's always a question. Whenever you have somebody in the vortex, you feel like Superman. You feel like you can get anybody right there. However, they can also attack you. Unless the rest of the team is pretty hurt, unless they're not in the right position, it's really a question of whether that vortex is offensive or defensive. Sometimes it's both. And the Colossus is going to move back. He's got 1.71 speed, 640 money. Apnea has had about 700. For Nexus, going to have about 400 right there. Angelo pushing in. Got the defensive shield, got the lockdown, wants to try to use some things. 7 laser batteries. Doesn't have rockets. You might have to get that. Rocket pods might be helpful for Angelo. Random Gonna try to escape. He's got 1.91 speed. He's got the just the ability to blackout. He might have to use blackout on his own buddies right there, though. Everybody is around him. Alpha GC providing support, Angel's providing support, IDC providing support, and will this be enough? Yes, blackout actually has to be used on his own allies, but if he did that because he wanted to survive, he has 200 health, and interceptors could keep on taking them out. And will this be enough? No, not quite. The interceptors do finish them off. And Alpha GC, is gonna get a little thermal lance on the way out. The blackout was tried to stop the interceptors from just doing as much damage as possible. However, it just wasn't quite enough. The battle station is doing a whole bunch of damage. Max power, the fake max power is taking the damage that the real max power doesn't have to. The fake max power is by Phantom created by Poor Nexus. Poor Nexus has pretty much every ability in the book. He has the feedback, Phantom, Chrono Boost, Electromagnetic Storm. Doesn't necessarily have stasis, but that's pretty much the only thing he doesn't have. Apnea. Gonna fly around. Now, Guardians using the, that are Chrono Boosted are actually relatively super high damage dealer. However, we got Acid Spores and Broodling Strikes at 1 or 0, respectively, because he just focused on everything else. Scourge doing a whole bunch of damage, doing a whole bunch of stuff. However, when it comes down to it, he can only use Scourge to attack. And it looks like these IDC interceptors are going to move on in there. 70 damage because they have 29 upgrades. Max power, using his thermal lance to do as much damage as possible. Even if it doesn't kill them, it does hurt them. Might take out their shields at least. Max power moving in. Colossus gets so scary when they have energy, and that's what he's trying to do. He's got 1370, 80-ish, 1400 now to commit to something. Could be more shields, could be more energy, could be anything right there. Looks like Alpha GC doesn't want to stay with that for too long. He does have Bombardment. Bombardment is going to be super helpful against Scourge whenever you can use them. However, he can't use it if it doesn't have any energy. Apnea moving in there. He's staying within that range. He has, Scourge on him. Alpha GC's protective field might last. It does not last. It's going to take a whole bunch more. He is also Parasited. Now, Parasite in combination, but Poor Nexus is taken out by Interceptors. Interceptors moving in. And it looks like the only thing left that he has is his cute little observer buddy. Vortex being used against the Colossus. Will the red side capitalize on that? No, they're quite injured. Alpha GC goes back to base. Angelo is at full health, but he doesn't want to stay there too long. IDC is now in the area. Will they be able to go back to base? I don't think so. He's going to have to go in there. And Interceptors being used against Apnea. Apnea taking a whole bunch of damage. We got about 3,000 health left, 1,700, 1,600 Interceptors staying around. Varus coming on in there to save, and looks like with 1,400 life, he's going to have to use his own Dark Swarm. Actually, it's funny, if he used Adrenal Overlord, he could actually kill himself right there. But a Dark Swarm being used to heal him up again, 222 monies. But at least he's alive. We got 700 money already from Varus, who is a carrier, who does want to spend money on Interceptors and everything else. The reason why we're not seeing any Tempest right now is because there is another carrier on the field. Interceptors just destroy Tempests, so it's generally not worth it to do. Alpha GC with his Wiggler, max power, taking a whole bunch of damage. Now, because the Alpha GC does have the Wiggler on him, that means that Apnea has vision. That means his Scourge can chase for even longer. Sometimes Scourge kind of like, their AI doesn't quite process if they can't see, so they just die on field. But if you have the vision of them, they're chased for longer, better. Usually will connect a lot more. Looks like Max Power's going to fly around. He's got that 350. He's got the invulnerability shield. Going to be super helpful whenever he's has to tank damage, which he definitely does the entire game. Looks like it's a 3 versus 3 right now. We got a Angelo. This is the missile support person. The Dreadnought armor tank carrier. I mean, they're basically in their own class themselves. Long distance damage dealers with some cool abilities. We got a attack ship from the Guardian. More specialized, longer range, a little bit weaker, but also does have some really cool range and abilities to make up for that. We got the Colossus, who's a shield tank. As soon as he has energy, as soon as he has shields, he's also extremely dangerous. We got a Varus, who's a carrier, again, in the carrier class. And it does look like, with that, they're kind of at a stalemate. They all kind of have similar-ish versions of each other's ships, enough that, you know, they don't, that no team has, you know, all supports. There's actually no healers anymore. Angelo is the closest thing to a healer because he can have, you know, he's the only one who can energy drain right now. He can only energy drain against 2 of the 3 ships. However, that's 2 of the 3 ships. And it looks like with that, the blue side is trying to feel out. They don't want to move out too far. They can see Angelo being sneaky in the gas. They don't want to commit to that. It's perfectly fine to stay by base. There's no shame in staying by base if it keeps you alive. IDC moving up. He's got the vortex, but they know that. Angelo gonna move in there. He's gonna use his defensive shield, giving him a 3150 extra life. That life doesn't necessarily have an armor count, so it's just straight 3150. However, that's an extra round of Scourge he can take, something like that. Alpha GC gonna warp on up there. Warps on up to the gas right here. Now, if he he's in a weird position because he could do something crazy like go for siege, but the siege would also be pretty counteracted by things like Scourge, Vortex, Max Power's invulnerability shield. If he stays where he is, he could commit that 400 into something else, armor, damage, something like that, maybe even speed. But it's not as guaranteed that he can get a tower kill. It would take time, but you could still do it. It just wouldn't be. It's just a strategic like fork in the road. You can either do one or the other. Sky Furies just from the house, moving on up there. We got a Max Power flying around. Good juke around the bombardment. Does damage in an area, and you can move out of that area. Max Power running away. You got the nuke chasing them as well. The nuke chasing the Colossus. The Colossus decides to just use his invulnerability shield. Does not take any of the effects because he just had it barely in time. Doesn't connect to the attack though. Apnea launching his Scourge. They are going to do as much damage as they possibly can against Alpha GC. Does use his protective field just in time, but the Sky Furies were also taken out. Looks like Apnea gonna try to fly around, gonna try to do as much damage as possible. He's a long distance damage dealer, mostly on Scourge though. Nobody can drain his energy though. So his Scourge can keep on being adrenal overloaded back to full health, energy, you know, and Parasite, Darkstorm to protect himself. Alpha GC taking a whole bunch of damage. Varus got that very scary Vortex. He is going to use that very scary Vortex on the Destro. We got Angelo flying around, low energy right now, can't quite do anything right now. He's going to try to protect himself. He's going to have to maybe protect himself with a defensive shield. He does. That means that the Alpha GC is kind of all by himself. Will this be enough to take him out? He's got 32 base armor, plus 50. Whenever he's using his protective field, he's a lot safer, but he's not necessarily safe. We got a IDC though. IDC using that Vortex on, swing and a miss. The interceptors are not caught. The carrier wasn't caught either. Angelo had a little bit of life left. Alpha GC moving on back to base, 1.71 speed. We got these interceptors flying in there, doing as much as they possibly can. However, it's just not quite enough to take out the tank. It is maybe enough to hurt this IDC though. IDC does survive. One of the towers was taken out. The other tower definitely survives and was able to give that extra layer of fire support. Plus, the command center still has his Devastator missiles. Looks like the Apnea trying to fly in there. He's got 740. Let's see how much money he ends up getting. Gonna use those Scourge. He can keep on using Scourge if he has to take out this tower. Max Power gonna move on in there to hurt the tower as well. Does have a vulnerability shield. Doesn't want to commit to it because it is a long cooldown. With that, we got the battle station still surviving. Shields very hurt. Alpha GC back up to full health. Has 48 base armor now, plus 50 whenever he presses that protective field button. He may or may not have emergency shield. He probably does. It's just not something that you can check and see if somebody has it. You have to just kind of assume they do. Max Power, moving back. Thermal Lance, using his recharge shield whenever he possibly can. Angelo stopping it from using it right now. You can see he can't press any of these buttons right now for just a little bit of time. Even though he has the ability to shield, or energy-wise, he can't quite do it. Blue side, retreating in time. How much money do these people have? We have 640 basically from Everis. Anything that he wants to press buttons and do, he can. 876. Let's see, max power has about 900, almost 1,000 right now. What did he go into? It looks like he's upgrading his Scourge even further. He went from 12 to 14 to 16 to 18 to 20 Scourge. That means 20 times 250. That's a whole bunch of damage. That's also a whole bunch of Scourge life. They all have 120. As the game goes on, you can get more laser batteries. You could get more laser batteries. You can get more interceptors. You can try to fight them. However, now you just have more to kill in that area. I really think, there we go, rocket pods, missile pods, 125, area of effect damage. Just enough, 125, wait a second, that's 120. Just enough to kill these Scourge if he times it perfectly. If you miss it, then you just miss it. Interceptors, though, definitely need it. And laser battery is just at 30. With 9 range, he can try to do as much damage as possible. You see all his Scourge were revved up. However, because there's no parasite on anybody, he didn't have the vision. Because he went out of vision, he couldn't, continue with his Scourge attack. Scourge basically one-shotting the shields right there. And just more and more damage. We got IDC moving on in there. We got Vortex for Vortex. Oh, we got a double Vortex action. It's so beautiful all the way across the sky. We got Scourges being launched into the Vortex. Why not? We got a Battle Station taking a whole bunch of damage. We got the Colossus and the Carrier gonna get out at the same time. Battle Station providing a little bit of support while it still possibly can. We got Alpha JC flying in there. And we got more Scourge being used, more Scourge hitting somebody. Oh, Max Power used his invulnerability shield. Is going to help the tower survive. The tower survives that attack somehow, barely. I think because Alpha GC and IDC redirected the Scourge in there, didn't quite let him finish it off. IDC flying in there, does not want to take that damage for that long. It looks like Max Power is going to have to be out of energy. He had 650 potential energy, but he keeps on getting energy drained. Plus, he keeps on using all of his abilities. You can, again, keep on buying energy. It just costs you more and more each time. So we started off at 225, 25, 35, 45. That's not quite. 25, 30, 35, 40, 45, 50. There we go. Somebody loved the math class. We got a IDC flying in there. He's got the Plasma Surge ready. Everything else that he can't quite do. Interceptors. There we go. We see that Plasma Surge. Adding that extra little bit of life on them as well. They basically start off with 122 life. He upgraded a little bit with the Plasma Surge. That's the little bit of shield right there. Apnea moving in. He's got the Scourge. He wants to use them, and they're going to fly in. And because of that, Angelo wants to use his defensive shield. 3,200 damage versus 22 Scourge doing 250 each. Basically needed to survive right there. And with that, that's why the red side is just retreating very early, very often. Doesn't want to attack against the Vortex right there. Defensive shield being used, and defensive shield is needed just to survive that wave of Scourge. While this is happening, poor Nexus is flying around in this cute little observer. He is the Arbiter. He was the Arbiter. The Arbiter is dead. There is no respawn in this game. However, you can provide vision. That vision is crucial when you're talking about things like not being warp tricked, when you're talking about not having vision for Scourge. If these Scourge fly in there, they're going to do a whole bunch of damage against the tower. Max Power doesn't want to commit to taking out the tower. Alpha GC is going to try pushing it there as much as possible. We got Bombardment as a possibility. We have Siege. Now Siege is extremely risky, but could pay off if he uses it exactly perfectly. We got Apnea moving in, pressing his buttons, launching his Scourge, doing the thing. His basic attacks are not quite, his shining star. He's going to put all of his money into Scourge. It's expensive, but it can work sometimes. We got IDC, we got Everis, Jousting, both of them having relatively similar builds. 39 upgrades on interceptors, 41. We got 9 upgrades in shields, 4. We have Plasma Barrage is the biggest difference right there, just to finish up, basically launching Plasma Barrage in addition to Scourge, hoping that level of firepower can take somebody out. Angelo not trying to figure out if he wants to be that person. He's got the Yamato cannon. It could do he's upgraded it a bunch, 2050 damage, and he can kind of rapid fire it down if he has energy. The vortex is used. Will this be enough? We got the Dreadnought back at base, protecting the base, but the base is actually okay for right now. Now the carrier is out of the vortex. Angelo wants to commit. He wants to attack. He doesn't want to take out too much though. Apnea not dead, and that means that Max Power is going to keep on trying to attack. Angelo is taken out by Max Power. Max Power burns him down with Thermal Lance. IDC moving up. He's got his vortex back on cooldown. Varus has energy. It doesn't have the energy for it now. Now he does. So he can protect a little bit further. It looks like Max Power going to try to use the advantage that the gas gives him. Going to try to use his Thermal Lance to burn down as many of the interceptors as possible. It doesn't quite kill them. It does hurt them. Definitely needed at this moment. Alpha GC moving in. He's going forward. He has the bombardment, trying to do as much damage as possible. This carrier. Oh, if you can get this carrier, then that would be a massive pickup. Can't quite do it though. The interceptors want to, but he has very little. Almost. Actually, what is this? He has 200 life. Oh, he does survive. I mean, unless he suddenly stops, he's going to survive with about 100 life left. 190 using his 1,000. What does he put that 1,000 money into? Hopefully some shields, maybe even more damage on the interceptors. Again, these interceptors cost well into the hundreds of money right now. Could be 100, could be 150, something like that. There's no theoretical limit. It's just everything costs more. There's no reason why I can't buy a yacht. I just don't have yacht money. We got Alpha GC moving in there. He's got the siege mode, but the siege mode is very particular of an attack. It deploys into siege mode. The Dreadnought can then attack using a very far distance weapon. However, it costs speed, it costs armor, it costs everything else. With these Scourge going to fly in there, will the Dreadnought be able to warp out in time? And he does not, because the Brittling Strike just stops him, tickles him away, and makes him stop warping. With that, the interceptors are moving in. They're moving in. They're trying to hunt for him. 96 damage. 96 is much higher than well, it's not quite. 48 plus 50 can barely survive and cannot survive against this entire field of Scourge, like a million Scourge flying in there. Battle station being there. IDC Vortex ready. Will he end up using it? Can he end up using it at all? We have Vortex being used. No, nope, not quite. Battle station taking a whole bunch of damage. He doesn't have very much damage. Not much less life to survive right there. But IDC didn't want to commit to Vortex, because if he missed anything, then he would be very vulnerable, and then the base is vulnerable. We got a Dreadnought trying to trying to shoot as much as possible, doing some damage. Max Power using that hardened shield, using that invincibility shield, and with that we have Apnea using his sneaky parasite. Vortex right there, and it does catch the Colossus. Alpha GC shooting all that, trying to do as much damage against Apnea as possible. He is in the place where he is going to get some healing as well once he takes some damage. Vortex, once the Max Power is out of the IDC Vortex, Varus going to use his Vortex on the Destro, but will they actually take him out? He was so close right there. We got the Guardian Shield offering some level of protection, but right now he just has to not burn down. Interceptors moving in. These are Varus' interceptors. If there was anything else, this would be a very different game right now. IDC interceptors. He knows his interceptors are doing a bunch of damage. Max Power shooting whatever he possibly can. If it's his own allies, that's fine. Many of them will die too, as long as Apnea can survive. Again, these interceptors, because they've just been spent like thousands and thousands of dollars into them, they're extremely valuable. 102 damage, have 45 upgrades, and you can just cut that armor, that upgrade count into armor count. So 45, cut it in half, let's call it like 22. And is that right? It's about right, 22.5. In the middle of the game, you might not be able to click on the interceptor, but if you click on the carrier and see that, just cut that in half. It's a little bit different in Star Battle 3.1, but in Omega that would just work out. Apnea He's the Guardian. He started off with 1400 health, but did upgrade his own health count. Armor count still relatively low, 14, but doing whatever you possibly can. You got Alpha GC moving in there. Averis, very little health, but Alpha GC couldn't quite commit to the kill right there. He does have to survive himself. He is trying to use his protective field. And there we go. Some bombardment, killing whatever is in the area. And it looks like IDC moving around, trying to protect himself. It's 2 versus 3 right now. But the 2 ships that are left are very good defensive ships. We got this siege mode, very good defensive ship. With that, it's also protected by the carrier. Again, no Tempest right now because the Vortex exists and Interceptors exist. Max power, moving up, full energy, trying to burn down things. He's got the thermal lance. He's got the 725 potential. Nobody can drain him, so he's just keeping on using that thermal. By the time he uses the thermal, another one's available. He can use another ability whenever he possibly can. He has just keeping on using that 125 plus 16, 56 versus massive. Just burning, moving all as much as possible. He is low on energy, even though he has so much. He now has to rely just on hardened shields. Alpha GC moving back. Base armor of 48 plus 50 is helping him survive. Looks like they're asking for a Vortex, but now would be the best time to do it because if you Vortexed back it up there, they wouldn't be forced to be in the best defensive position. Now Alpha GC gonna risk it all with siege mode. 52 armor down to 39 armor from there. Gauss cannon, 17 range, 1590. Vortex being used right there. IDC flying around. Now the mothership isn't protecting them anymore. Doesn't have Devastator missiles. Cannot shoot interceptors. That means these interceptors from the carrier are the only thing that's protecting. Apnea though, with the interceptors on him, he actually could be taken out in the very while he's trying to make his own attack. We have an eye on him right now, but we've got to watch the action going on. We got a Vortex being used in the own base. We have a command center, providing some basic fire support. Apnea does survive, does have a Dark Storm, can repair from theoretically 1 health as long as he uses his Dark Storm correctly. However, Alpha GC flying in there, doing as much damage as possible. 82 damage on his Gatling cannons, and will this be a slow motion chase? It will be 1.71 speed, 1.92 speed. Eventually Alpha GC won't be able to attack him, but for right now he definitely is. His 29 shield armor is a lot lower than the 82 Gatling cannon at 0.21. Apnea flying around, does have every ability in the book, is going to try to do as much as possible. Is IDC going to be able to Vortex? Not for another 82 seconds. Apnea, Averis. Looks like Vortex is going to come back in about 30 seconds. Alpha GC using that combat, launching that Gauss cannon, trying to defend as much as possible. Max power is the tank, doesn't want to take it forever. We have a hardened shield being used, recharge shield being used, gonna go back to base. Averis has about almost 900 monies. Apnea has about 1300. Max power about 1200 as well. Everybody's gonna go back. Looks like Alpha GC. Again, he's using his quote ultimate ability. However, it's just really there for defense. Now, if he uses it for attack, he has to be extremely cautious. It is very good at taking out towers, but Vortex is very good about taking out siege. Apnea isn't designed to take damage, but upgraded himself to do a little bit more. It's not necessarily that ships are incapable of adjusting their lot in life. You can be more tanky as the damage dealer. You can be more damagey as the tank. It's just that your ship has some built-in advantages. Beautiful Vortex does try to catch as many of the interceptors as possible. That's not actually a overreaction. Interceptor counts as very similar throughout this whole thing. 47 upgrades, 48 upgrades. Shields is a slight difference right there. He has over 10. He has 16. Protoss plasma shields versus Varys' 6. Does help him in base. Vortex being used, catches the Colossus. Apnea, flying close but not necessarily into the vortex, is going to try to attack. He does have Broodling Strike, does have Brood Lords as well. Now, while we were saying that, Tempest are kind of like, not very great against Interceptors, Brood Lords have at least Corruptor buddies. They kind of fly around in a pair, and will this be there? Varus getting protection from Apnea. Apnea's 20 upgraded Needle Spines, 48, damage. Isn't going to kill the Interceptors very quickly, but it is the best thing that's going to kill them, relatively quickly. 46 upgrades right there, 7 range. The difference is that that max power, when he upgrades range, it only affects particle disruptors. It does not affect antimatter missiles. That's always going to be at 8. So many people who are Colossuses don't upgrade range that much because it's not as helpful. It just isn't as helpful as something like Apnea, who gets a bunch of range benefit. We got Interceptors being launched out. Interceptor action. We got Varus. He also has 9 range. That helps the Interceptors out. It also helps the particle disruptors out. If you're a carrier getting relying on your particle disruptors, you are in danger. But that might be what you have to do for a little bit. We got max power doing some damage. We got this Dreadnought. Like 3 shots was that? And Varus is almost out of shields. He did upgrade them to some degree. But look at these Apnea trying to sneak around, uses Broodling Strikes. But you see, does have he keeps on upgrading his armor, but the armor does less and less because he's staying in siege mode. Now when he's out of it, he's much more protected, and that's the razor's edge you really have to stay on there. We got IDC moving up. Vortex is back. We got a Command Center again. Once you kill the towers, the Devastator missiles go away. Once you kill the towers, the laser cannon shrinks in range and doesn't do as much damage as it used to. Used to do 200 damage at like, what, I think it's like 20-ish range? Now it's 20 damage at 8 range. Max power moving in. Max power diving in. Does use his invulnerability shield. The only thing that can affect him right now is a Vortex, and that might be what IDC has to do, except there's other people trying to do some damage as well. We got this siege mode hitting Varus, and Varus is very hurt right now. Interceptor is trying to fly out if he can get them that right there. Oh no, Swing and Abyss Vortex from Max Power, and IDC and Max Power fly inside, and IDC knows he's gonna die when he gets out of there. He's just gonna like leave right there. We got siege mode, do as much. IDC taken out by Varus almost instantly. And it looks like blue side's diving in, gonna do as much damage as possible. The invulnerability shield is gone though, and he is well hidden inside of this command center to the point where I can't even click on him. And it looks like he has 72 minus that, so he's still base level of like 20-ish, and that is great right now, doing a whole bunch of damage. He's just using all that money he possibly can into his armor count. Even though how low his armor count is, he's still getting healed. The healing is pretty decent, but it is going to be taken out. And that is going to be GG. I hope you guys enjoyed this. Make sure you guys press like, press subscribe. We're doing StarCraft Star Battle all the time. And make sure to send your replays to MaffumanCasting@gmail.com.